you just do it, motherfuckers?
Hi, welcome back to the PCM Podcast. I'm Objector, your lib-right representative. With me, I have Canterbury Run, Homosexual, and Darkholder. If you'd like to introduce yourself.
Camembert Run.
Well, shit.
It's a kind of cheese.
Well, I'm American and therefore illiterate, so sue me.
Yeah, this is the first time I've heard
Will
that.
do.
It's a cheese. Also, I should probably change my name because it's fucking shafting us in the YouTube analytics.
You know, maybe we should just can this and restart. This is kind of a fucking train wreck already.
Nah,
I mean, is that a bad thing in its essence?
At least we're genuine.
yeah.
That is true. Yeah, I think that's the most important part, being true to oneself.
So today we will talk about hard news.
Special
So
topics.
We'll start with the
This week in the news, it's been a very, very eventful week.
yeah. It's summer. People are going to the sea. Some are dying at the sea, like the
Yes, as
the
they
five people
does,
in the
as they
submarine.
A few people's summer plans have completely imploded.
Fucking rough. God damn.
Look, this whole fucking Ocean Gate thing, yeah, I'm gonna start off with this because I've done it, like, I actually kind of read up on it. They're basically, the guy running it decided, I want to go see the Titanic. I'm going to build what looks like, so in the UK we used to have a show called Scrap Heap Challenge. It was, you went down to a scrapyard, you built a car or a bike or a bus out of whatever dog shit you could pull out of a junkyard pile. And basically that's what the sub looks like. In fact, the easiest thing I think I'd see the comparison to it, has anybody ever heard of the game Iron Lung?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've seen an entire
Yeah,
synopsis
the
of that.
interior of the sub literally looked like something out of Iron Lung. They controlled the whole fucking thing with like a Logitech controller.
Oh,
Would you-
okay.
If,
Have you guys read
if you
the
look at
review of
the
that
pictures that
controller?
are coming out of the ocean, the Logitech controller survived intact. So very good value for money.
Well, maybe that was the only thing they did right.
Yeah, they got a durable controller to fucking pilot the thing. Because when the news first broke, people obviously assumed they were stuck at the bottom of the ocean because they heard banging noises, which we now know may have come from other ships. But if it was instantaneous, then I'm convinced the banging was probably all the debris pinging off the hull of the Titanic.
Probably.
Probably most likely what happened. You know, an implosion does kind of scatter shit.
Yeah. That's the
You know,
thing.
you wouldn't expect a bunch of billionaires to walk into a death trap like that and say, hey, this looks like a poor people shit.
This is they got scammed. The
you-
guy running it basically scammed them. Was like, oh yeah, we're totally gonna go see the Titanic. This is totally worth like $250,000 to sit in a fucking box smaller than what you
And
like,
not
shit.
even see it, like you would see it through a screen. How the hell would you see it otherwise?
Well,
Well, the thing had a porthole. The thing had
There was a
one porthole.
There was a porthole by the toilet.
Oh, wonderful. We will take turns to the toilet to see the darkness around the Titanic, because
Yeah,
obviously.
But
Look at that,
there was
shitty view and a
right
shitty
on it as
spot.
well.
Yeah, to be fair, at 3,000 feet, not 3,000 feet, I think 3 kilometers, 3,000 meters underground, there can't be that much light.
Yeah, and
It
yeah,
has to
I'm
be
sure there'll be
darkness.
torches, like there'd be lights, but you wouldn't be able to see anything. I don't understand why they didn't just call James Cameron. I'm not
don't
joking.
get the
He's got
reference.
like this whole. James Cameron is Titanic obsessive. It's not just for the movie. He's got like a full-on submersible that he used to go down there regularly. He's even said he's spent more time on the Titanic than anybody who actually sailed on it at this point.
Well, I think it
Because
was
he's-
kind of a case of that he was either unavailable or something, because I also heard that I think it was the creator of Minecraft had the only other submersible that could reach that depth.
What fucking notch?
Not so
Yeah, I know, right? Like,
Why the hell
Not
does
on
the
submarine.
creator of Minecraft have that?
because he's a billionaire. The man has fucking everything. I mean, he has a mega yacht that he likes to sail around on alone. It's fucking weird.
He sold.
If I had
he-
that, I wouldn't be a leftist, honestly.
Well, that's
Well,
just it. He's not a
not-
leftist either.
Notch isn't a leftist. He's a massive right winger.
Yeah.
He's-
No, I
so-
mean, in general, you know.
Minecraft had
Oh.
to cut him off because I think he made loads and loads of racist statements about Swedish culture, about how it's being ruined by foreigners.
Well, I mean,
Yeah,
that's
Mike-
just your average Swede. He was just.
Microsoft had to basically lock him out of his own product because they were going to like put him on board. Then he made loads of anti-immigrant statements, and they had to kind of just scrub him out of existence.
outside
So
the
as far as anybody coming up now knows,
Yeah.
obviously fucking Microsoft product is not created by one guy.
outside of that, the thing that cancelled him the most was arguing with trans people on Twitter.
Oh yeah, that
Yeah.
too.
Oh, you should have seen the he went on some podcast. I think it's like the official podcast or something like that.
The Notch episode was the one where the Turkish guy was talking about how he would jerk off a nut to a poster of a cheetah.
The tiger, and it got so fucking crusty. That was like I also remember them trying to like fucking give it away as like a joke gift or something.
Who the hell would?
Yep.
It's more for the meme than actually like wanting that, because you know who the fuck wants a 11-year-old poster full of cum?
Maybe that's what we're doing wrong. That's the secret to success. Maybe we should start selling our G's rags.
That's what
You
you,
know,
should
boys.
give away.
They are pretty popular. I think we should play a game of Ookie Cookie and, you know, go viral here.
I got a sock I won't let anyone else touch.
You know, homie. You know what you should do? You just sell a souvlaki, but with a special sauce.
Yes, of course.
Good God! What do you think I've been putting in my tea the whole time? Anyway,
I see.
Oh god,
I
you
see.
fucking Christian motherfucker.
I ran out of milk some time ago. I've had to make do.
Didn't they arrest a doctor in the UK like a week or two ago for coming in his assistant's coffee every day?
Yep.
Something like that. He was jizzing in her drink or some shit like that, and he was also stealing sperm samples from patients. I mean,
Was that the guy who got caught because he didn't do it one day and his assistant like noticed the taste change?
My question is, did she never drink anything in her life before so that she couldn't actually compare the G's with anything else until it didn't happen?
Hey, she might have a really weird fucking boyfriend. You know, hey babe, you want a soda? Yeah, let me just crank one out real quick.
I mean, I feel like you would still
Yeah,
notice it.
It's literally just been and gone. Doctor sexually assaulted a woman by depositing his own semen into multiple cups of coffee he made for nearly a year. The man was jizzing in her coffee for years.
She couldn't drink a coffee without the G's at that point to seem unnatural.
Gloucester. Oh shit! Gloucester. That's the fucking county I live in.
Be careful where you drink your coffee from.
I'm not going to fucking get coffee from the doctors anytime soon. If they offer me a coffee, I'm just going to go, no! Gloucester Crown Court heard the victim, who cannot be named for legal reasons, was shocked after discovering a gloopy substance at the bottom of her cup when she finished a hot drink given to her by the defendant. So, basically, TIL sperm doesn't dissolve in coffee. We'll learn that.
Oh, good to know, I guess. In case I ever want to do this, I guess.
I can just imagine now a member going to the doctor's office, being offered coffee, and be like, Doc, did you just jizz on my coffee? Be honest now. Come on.
Yeah, it's one too many surprise milk.
The way you're fucking putting it's almost like come on, doctor. Did you come in my drink?
Come on, doctor,
you?
take me to dinner first.
Wine and dine me at least. Come on now.
I know.
Now you gotta pay for it.
Yeah, it's such a fucking weird thing to do.
I know you got a bit excited with that prostate exam, but come on, this is a step too far.
Now, when I say come on, I don't mean it like that.
Not on, and not anywhere here on the face. That's the money maker.
Oh man, I wonder why we're shadow banned in the algorithm. I can't put my finger on it.
Yeah,
What could it
wonder.
possibly be?
My home county, don't drink the doctor's coffee.
Well,
Yeah,
the fan
it's,
meetup at your spot is going to be interesting.
Yeah, no thanks. We don't have enough accommodation for people. You get Christ.
All I'm saying is, first fan meetup, it's free hot chocolate, guys.
If do you want yours with milk or no milk?
Oh, they all come with milk. This isn't a choice.
But I'm lactose intolerant.
Oh, don't worry, it's a different kind of milk.
All right.
Lucky for you.
It's lactose-free milk.
Well, no, is it one of those milks made from nuts?
Well, we definitely busted a nut to make this milk.
Yeah, something like that.
So anyways, how about that Civil War?
The Brazilian.
What about, like,
Prigozhin-
I learned about, like, 5 minutes before starting the recording.
Yeah, basically the Wagner group has turned on Russia because the Russians tried to clean house and get rid of them.
Well, 2 days ago, Prigozhin claims that the Ministry of Defense actually hit his base. Now, his claims are not really corroborated because there is no actual proper video, only of that of some supposed aftermath.
Well, he filmed a video standing in the alleged aftermath saying that the Russian army had shelled him. There's been loads of arguments, though, between... is it actually pronounced Prigozhin?
Prigozhin.
Prigozhin. Because I'm calling the whole thing the Prigozhin heresy. I am a 40k fan, so this is basically right up my alley. But yeah, Prigozhin has claimed for ages that the Russian military has been screwing him over. Because he keeps asking for ammo, keeps asking for shells. Because around Bakhmut, most of the majority fighting, and probably around the area, is done by the Wagner group. I don't know what the fuck the Russian military seem to be doing down there.
No, Wagner was only deployed in that area of the Donbass, like in the back of Artemovsk and towards it. They didn't really have any other part of the front. They were quick assault groups, which is why they were used to push the front line so much.
Okay, that's about what I heard. It was the Russian army is really more for holding the line, the Wagners for advancing the line. At least that's how it was explained to me.
Yes, this is how it was. And you can see why right now, because at this moment in time, the reason Wagner is moving so quickly across Russia is because they are moving through undefended areas. And until generals actually take a decision on what to do with the convoys, they are already somewhere else.
Yep. In fact, that's why I think they're probably just fortifying the fuck out of Moscow right now and nowhere else. Because, I mean...
because how many soldiers
know they're going to be there?
In Ukraine?
So,
oh yeah, that's the other thing too. You can't pull troops from that other line or you're fucked either way, because the Ukrainians have shown they will go over the border and they will attack your cities.
I mean, from the understanding is that fucking Wagner have basically taken over Rostov-on-Don. They've surrounded all of the military municipality buildings.
They have taken about 5 of them, yes. They have taken the military administration building, they have taken the headquarters of the police and like 2 others. But they're actually not causing any kind of disruption to any of the operations, so that's kind of great.
Well, they can't. It's hearts and minds now. It's a civil war. You need to be...
Well, there's a few rumors that some divisions have turned and are supporting Wagner. Because there's... what's understanding is that, like... I don't know how much of this is related to an anti-war sentiment or whether it's the war's not being fought in the right way. Because there's been loads of... I know from what I've understand, a lot of the Russian military has been arguing about how to manage this war because it's not going as well as they said it would. It was supposed to be a 2-month special operation. This shit was supposed to be over in May last year. We're now into June 2023, and it's turned into a nightmare for them.
Well, here's the thing about the Russian army. That's not really a unified army like an American or British or any kind of army like that. It's more like a bunch of vying groups. You have the official Federation army, and then you've got a bunch of mercenary groups. I mean, Wagner is not the only group in there, which is why they're having such a hard-ass time to get a unified line and like directions. I mean, the Luhansk and Donetsk republics are still technically like independent force-wise, even though they're very clearly a puppet.
Yeah, the Russian separatists.
So I got a question. This Wagner group, where does it land politically? Because in PCM terms, let's say, Putin is probably off-center. Are these guys like liberals, right-wingers, or just
No, they're right-wingers. Wagner is right-wing.
Yeah, I'd have to say they're right-wingers that are apolitical, but, nobody's apolitical.
But it is true that the Russian army in particular is formed out of many PMCs. Like even Shoigu has his own, Patriot.
I have no clue what it is.
It's another private military company owned by him.
Oh,
which is also
basically
active in
mercenaries.
Yeah.
See,
but how much of the Russian army is actually Russian soldiers fighting for Russia and not just mercenaries?
Oh, I mean, there's definitely about 1 or 2 million of them, but they're all conscripts. A lot of them... So Russia has this kind of weird conscript system where you're in for about 5 years, and it's just a shit show from day one. Basically, anyone above you will shit on you and get you to do whatever they don't want to do, and it just goes right up the line.
There's a really bad hazing.
That's the same way.
Really bad hazing, and by the time the new conscripts get to the top, they do the exact same thing to the next guys, because it's what they had happen to them. It's a
You know,
really
that's
vicious cycle.
every conscription system. Like it's not unique to them. Homie can confirm.
Yeah.
Well, you
Or
also have a very unique.
it's probably just the Balkan like culture.
Well, you also have this really weird thing with Russian culture where they're just kind of fine with, as long as they get theirs, they don't fucking care what happens. Corruption, stealing shit, selling stolen items, stuff like that. That's just common in a way of life. Even in the Soviet system, they had this issue. From what I've heard, some of the factories had to have pretty high walls to stop workers from just throwing shit they wanted over the wall and taking it home.
I mean, the weird thing is, like, I don't know whether Wagner, if they got what they wanted, what do they actually want? Do they just want to replace the Russian military?
Yes, what Prigozhin initially wanted was for Shoigu and Gerasimov to come and discuss with him. And then it escalated towards them wanting Shoigu to resign, and them now wanting him to be entirely gone.
I think if Shoigu and Gerasimov went to discuss with Prigozhin, I don't think they'd survive the encounter. I have a feeling that this seems like a power play to me, that Prigozhin basically wants to run the Russian military.
Yeah, that's pretty safe to assume. I mean, he's probably been vying for this position for years, and he saw his out. Russian army's pretty weak right now with what's going on with Ukraine. And, don't get me wrong, Ukraine's getting their fucking ass kicked, too. Like, this is not
it's not a fun war. There's a whole thing, because Prigozhin's basically been on the fucking TV saying that apparently Russia are losing 1,000 troops a day. And that's just in the Russian military.
He's parroting a lot of Western points, and they apparently did find a lot of money at his residence right now.
Well, that's the other thing, too, I want to talk about, is there's recently an accounting error, in big, massive fucking air quotes, about, I think it was...
Yeah, I've seen all the thing about the 6.2 billion has gone missing. I follow a lot of right-wing Twitter, and they are absolutely losing their shit. Because they're pretty much jumping...
Something to do with Prigozhin. I think someone approached him, asked him, how much are they really paying you? All right, we'll triple it, and we'll make sure you win. I mean, that's a pretty fucking sweet deal, no matter who you are.
I don't know. That feels like a bit of a... You're drawing a lot of lines of conclusion. I don't think you could really just say, oh, they must be paying him. Prigozhin has had it in for the Russian top brass for a long time.
Well, no, I'm not saying that this is the plan from the start. I'm thinking it's more like they saw the opportunity, they saw he was disgruntled, and they said, let's grease the wheels and get him rolling. After that, hands-free. We don't have to do a fucking thing.
Yeah, but that doesn't really help the Ukrainians. I don't think Prigozhin is going to go to the peace table if he wins.
There is a lot of people who think he will do far better for the Russian military than the current command.
Well, I don't think this is anything about Ukraine. I don't think it's ever been about Ukraine. I think this is more of it's a weapon dump, so we can continue to produce here more weapons to bump stocks. I mean, it's been the same thing with Afghanistan. We were there for 20 years. What did we actually achieve?
For a bit of democracy, but that was complete. They put in people that were like the worst. Because the bit that I always was taught or kind of looked up was that most Afghan people that wanted like real justice, they went to the Taliban, because you go to the actual like Afghan government, you have to pay like fuckloads of money in bribes. You go to the Taliban and basically they'll say, right, give us evidence, and if you provide evidence, they'll just do what you want. But a lot of that involves shooting people. So people end up trusting the Taliban more.
That's a lot of what I heard, is that the government was just corrupt as hell from day one when they were installed, and it just never got better. And the only reason why the Taliban really lost a lot of support was because we were bribing the absolute shit out of the local tribes that were helping them.
Yeah. When the US and British pulled out, basically a lot of the local tribesmen and the warlords basically went straight back to the negotiating table with the Taliban. Because the government refused to pay them.
They knew they were fucked, because I bet you they were taking the money, buying whatever extravagant shit they wanted, and gave whatever little bit they had to their people. And then, when we pulled out and realized we weren't going to protect them anymore, they're fucked. It's
the Afghan army was also really, really badly trained, and they had one of the problems they had is that these soldiers were taken from villages in Taliban territory. So the soldiers were offered a choice. You can either run away and we'll forget you ever did anything, or if you choose to stay and fight, we control the area where your village is. We'll go and find your family and we'll kill them all.
Well, there was that. There was also, I remember this vividly, of this one video during the pullout. They were talking to some Afghan troops, and they were just fucking out of it, high out of their mind. And I'm not talking like one or two guys. I mean, like, they had 15 guys there who were supposed to be on guard duty, just fucking blitzed. Like the
there was
the
massive
army they did
drug-
have did not take it seriously at all.
Well, they were basically tribespeople from villages and given basically given more money than they'd actually ever seen in their lives. They spent the whole thing on drinking drugs, and then you've got it was the same thing with Vietnam apparently, where they gave all of the commanders of the army all these weapons and bullets and equipment, and they all just turned around and sold it on the black market. So the Afghan army was completely under-equipped, underfunded, or under-equipped because it had all been sold off, and half of these generals skipped the country when the Taliban started rolling
yes,
over.
but not only that, this is exactly what happens right now with Ukraine too. And when it comes to Afghanistan, as you mentioned before, the thing is, if they were to hold power, they would have had to continue bribing these tribes. But at one point in time, they stopped doing it, and they only supported the government. And the tribes had absolutely no connection to the government. This is why Taliban began encroaching even before the pullout.
It was a fucking house of cards from the start. And see, that's what always bothers me the most, because I'll have people argue that if we just stayed a little longer, I mean, the pullout was fucking done horrendously, and I mean, it would have collapsed either way, with air support or not, because, you need boots on the ground to occupy an area. You can't just fly over. But the fact that there's people arguing that if we just stood there, a little longer, maybe we could have set something up. I mean,
to be fair, the biggest
20 years. We've been there for 20 years trying to build their infrastructure, build their system, and we got fuck all. Well, we let our system languish. I mean, the U.S. power grid alone, it's to say it's held together with duct tape, string, and well wishes is an understatement.
The British government wasted 20 years of money worth in fucking Afghanistan, and now they're all over here.
What a fucking deal!
It's fucking ridiculous. The West spent so much money trying to build a stable and peaceful Afghanistan out of a group that has long been dominated by the one religious group that was trained by the USA, I might add. The Taliban and the Mujahideen were all trained to fight the Russians.
Oh, I'm well aware of that.
And give it another 10 years, and we'll just watch the Chinese go in there and genocide the Afghan people without a shred of mercy, and they will technically win in Afghanistan.
Well, here's the problem with that: China's currently in collapse.
Well, yeah, once they're out.
Well,
yeah, that is
shambles.
True. Their real
Yes,
estate
the collapse of China. Everybody in the West has been parroting it for 20 years. I don't see it happening.
My man. No, hold on. To touch on that, we've moved a lot of our supply chain out into Vietnam, Indochina, basically just going to South China area.
But that's nothing to do with the Chinese economy. That's spite.
Well, here's the thing. Foxconn left China. Apple left China. Do you know how big of a blow that is to their economy?
What are they going to do with all those safety nets to stop people from killing themselves?
They're going to sell them to Vietnam. That's what. But
probably.
Foxconn left China, which is massive. I think Tesla is also leaving China. A bunch of other these Fortune 500 companies are pulling the fuck out. This is, I think it's a little more than just COVID.
I know that the big issue they have is they've got a massive, massive real estate crisis because they spent a fuckload of money giving people all these. They gave loads of money in advance to build all of these fucking projects, all these massive, effectively mega cities. And loads of companies have just folded because they took the money and ran. And there's people now that are paying mortgages on houses that aren't even finished.
Yeah, I've been
because they're supposed to be middle class couples who are paying for their kids to move in one day, but they're now being told, there's no way that the flat will get finished.
It's worse than that. These are multi-generation families saving so their family can have a home, and again, they're getting shit flats that are made out of fucking thin concrete, sand, and tin rebar.
That's the case over here as well with the new constructions. I went to a friend once and I could hear the tap water of the neighbor. The quality of constructions overall has gone down.
Yeah, but to be fair, China has to house 1 billion people, more than 1 billion people. If a country had the right to have a housing crisis, China would be the one. To be fair.
Well, there's also the water.
Well, at least they're not blaming the sparrows this time.
What?
There's also their water crisis. I think it's something.
At least the Chinese aren't.
Water is so polluted that you can't even use it for irrigation.
At least the Chinese aren't blaming the sparrows this time.
What are the sparrows?
No, they're gonna blame the fucking water this time.
Fucking Mao during the 50s basically murdered all the he went on what's the word I'm looking for?
The
A culling
actual,
spree of the sparrows.
the actual animal.
And
okay.
sparrows were vital for like stopping insects from eating the crops, and they all starved to death.
You also
But
gotta
still,
remember
and
they also had to melt down all their tools for pig iron that they ended up not being able to use.
Yeah,
True.
that I know.
But see, that's the thing though, with the Chinese. Like, even if, let's say, a crisis does occur from the housing crisis, a housing crisis has occurred in the West as well. And while it has caused an economic
I know,
crisis
bankrupted my
worldwide,
dad.
it didn't cause a collapse. So the yells of joy from the Western Hemisphere are a bit premature.
Well, here's the
I
thing.
don't think China will collapse, but it will stunt them. It will massively stunt them because they put up. Okay, so I follow a lot of sports. Yeah, I'm a big football fan. Soccer if you have to, but you're wrong. And at one point it looked like the Chinese were massively buying football clubs. I mean, there's several football clubs that are owned by the Chinese now in England, and there was something that was up ages ago when China suddenly turned around and said, "Right, that's it. No more investing outside of China anymore." So you had owners like the group that owned Inter Milan in Italy. They suddenly ran out of money. The group that owned, I think it was basically every single club in the Midlands in England. Like, they've seemed to have economically stagnated for the last decade or so. And you've noticed it with the fact they haven't, like, they've basically almost near stopped investing outside of China. That role is now being taken by the Saudi Arabians, who are basically now buying up the planet.
Yeah. What I've seen they've
And
been investing in though is Africa. They're building a lot of facilities and
yeah, the Belt and Road Initiative.
They're absolutely garbage. They have the same standards of buildings in China. And also to touch on the whole collapse of their market thing that Darkholder said, our system and their system is completely different. I mean, for investing wise, all the Chinese people can invest in is real estate, which is why this is such an issue. There's kind of a stock market, but it's not really a stock market like with ours. It's more for companies to invest in other companies, not an individual. You also have the fact that just the poverty line in China itself is also skyrocketing because they have a really weird phenomenon where they're overeducated. They have, I think, 20% of college graduates currently unemployed. They just can't find a job, period, which is also a huge issue. I mean, any large group of young people who are unemployed is an absolute threat to a country.
I mean,
But in
that's why
China, 20% is a lot more than 20% here, there, or anywhere else.
yeah, that's why they're mass immigrating to the US and Europe.
Yep, I've heard that too. I mean, the southern border in America, we're getting a lot of Chinese nationalists all of a sudden, which is a little worrying because, I mean, you don't even need to have a group of 1,000 people to do any kind of damage for, like, sabotage-wise. You just need, like, 50 people. And even then...
I just posted the do not learn Mandarin fucking 4chan thread. That's fucking great.
I understand your point, by the way. I understand your point very well, but at the same time, we also have to take into account, as Homie pointed out earlier, the Chinese population. And the second thing is, yes, the people may not be able to invest as much as, let's say, in the West. And while I understand that, but even then, I understand the idea that a bunch of retards coming together and, I don't know, mass buying and selling a stock can be enticing to see, I don't know, a company collapse or something. Even then, most of the stock market isn't actually affected by the individual day-to-day trader. There are a bunch of companies who actually make and break the things.
Yeah, i.e. like Alphabet and BlackRock, essentially.
BlackRock can kiss my ass.
Oh, fuck BlackRock.
They're the reason why all your modern media is going to shit now.
Well, they're also the reason why I can't buy a fucking house. They have a nasty fucking habit of buying up single-family homes and just sitting on them.
Didn't they cause the
the reason why no one in London can afford a house.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Which I think is... I don't think there's, like, some grand fucking conspiracy, but it really is stoking tensions between the generations. I mean, millennials...
What's worse is that BlackRock are doing, like, they're buying up property all throughout London, and they're holding it for Russians, for Chinese, for Saudis. Like, they're basically, at this point, I think London is the biggest money laundering capital in the world, because there's so many companies that just buy up for foreign entities, and they use it to wash all their illegal money.
You've got more crime
about,
groups operating in London, I
Ukraine.
think, than most cities.
If we're talking about money laundering,
London's a shithole.
because I think it's something like only 30% of support is actually making it to the front line. And while I do understand that, you don't need just guns to fight a war, that seems pretty fucking light, don't you think?
I mean, absolutely, but you know that there are people who need to be paid to continue that support to be given, right?
You're right. I get that. Zelensky's wife really needed those new pair of tits. I mean, it
Absolutely,
really livens
absolutely.
up morale.
Wait,
Yeah, that did happen.
that
Yes,
happened
that-
like
Although I don't think
right
it
now,
was his.
right now in the middle of the fucking war.
Yeah,
She went and got a tit job.
My people are starving. My cities are being shelled. If only I could just push them together and keep everyone going. Just
And so she decided to push her tits together like a metaphor.
in this dark hour, we need to push our
Yeah,
tits
it did.
together and get through it.
To be honest, I think to be honest, for supporting Ukraine is necessary. But I mean, the amount of money we've given them, and this has been for a year. I think there's got to be a point where somebody's got to say, well, if we're going to support them this much, why don't we just go in there? Like, there's got to be a line of giving them billions and billions. Well, this is what I mean, though. Like, we can either chuck a bunch of money at them, or we can basically just say, fuck it, we can't throw any more money at this, and we impose a no-fly zone over Ukraine, and we actually start bombing the Russian fleet off the coast of Odessa.
I gotta say, that is probably the worst fucking idea I've heard. Not as a personal attack on you, but I'd have to say,
Well, no, it's more.
if you want to get
it's
nuked,
more-
that is a great idea.
Well,
I
yes,
think
but, you
personally
know.
we should just say, fuck it. We gave you $100 billion. If you can't win a war on that,
Yeah, but
we're
that's
not giving you any more.
that's sort of what I mean, though. Is like, if we're going to spend all of this money, we might as well just get involved.
We might as
Not
well
saying
just
that
get
we
nuked.
should. Not saying that we should. I'm not saying that we should get involved. But at the end of the day, if you're fucking spending this much money, because we're just giving them money, and the thing is, we're gonna look. Make no mistake, I support Ukraine. I have no problem with it. I support Ukraine because fuck Russia, they suck, and basically they're just trying to bully a smaller nation. Although I've said this before, is that if Russia pulls out Ukraine, it'll be interesting to see what happens to the Russian separatists, because somehow I don't think they'll be invited for tea and crumpets.
No, I think
They'll be fucking
a
genocided.
rope and a quick drop is in their future if they pull out.
Yeah, I think any peace deal has to be that the Russian separatists are given passage into Russia, because otherwise they're just going to get genocided.
They're going to give them the Nuremberg treatment. They're going to go on trial. It's going to be a foregone conclusion, and that's that.
Which is why it is necessary for them not to pull out, and if necessary, nuke the fucking city of Kiev.
So that's going to end really, really poorly, because the instant that radiation leaks over to Poland, they're going to take it as like an attack, and they're going to.
Honestly, the less Poles, the better.
All I'm saying is that
but
nuclear hellfire too.
Way to get the whole of Russia nuked.
And here's the other thing too: is with the current state of the Russian army, how operable do you think their rocket force is? I mean, I know it's like state secrets, so I'm not going to fucking publish it, but how much copper wire do you think is in a nuclear silo? How expensive do you think those components are? It would be a pretty good sale.
Even if not as many as the statistic says are operable, they are still enough.
I suppose, but you also have, THAAD or Patriot? I mean, I know Patriot systems in Poland, there's Patriot systems in Korea, there's Patriot systems in Alaska. You need to saturate the U.S. to actually beat them in a nuclear war, otherwise we just get a little irradiated while you get fucking scorched.
I mean, the effect is still going to be similar.
I really would feel updated Trident. I mean, I jokingly pitched First Strike when all this started, but now the more I think about it, the more I think we really maybe should just First Strike them and stopped it all. Because
personally, I think we should just let the Civil War run its course and see what happens. Because from the sound of it,
I do these days. I do unironically advocate for maybe we should just First Strike Russia, and then call it a day. Because this has dragged on. Everybody spent so much money. I do think if we were going to intervene, we should have really done it before we spent 200 and something billion.
Yeah,
Well,
Because-
there's the other problem. NATO as a country has been intervening for the last 20 years, and all it did was get us closer
NATO
to
isn't
war
a
with
country.
Russia. As a group, my bad.
As a group, yeah.
They've
That's
been
what I mean.
intervening this entire time, creeping slowly to Russia. And I know Russia for the last 20 years has been saying, back the fuck off. We're just
Well,
trying to do our thing."
they want pre-1997 borders. But
And I am
to do
I am
that-
in agreement with that, honestly.
I'm not.
I do believe that NATO honestly should leave my country as well. It's been nothing but an issue, both it and the EU.
We'll see, this might be a little extreme, but personally I think America should just fuck off from the world state entirely. You know what? Britain,
being
you can run
isolation.
NATO. Fuck it. We don't want any part of it.
please fuck off.
Yes,
I'm
I
all
agree.
for
I
that.
am begging you to fuck off.
When I hit 35, I'm running for president. Elect me and I'll make sure we fuck off.
You have my vote.
I have
I will
even
move over to the
supported
USA.
the bill to invade Ukraine just for this purpose.
You're playing the long
You see-
game. Got it. 10 years from now,
I
Russia will rule the world.
can't stand by isolationism because if I ran Britain, I'd basically start putting boots back on the old colonies.
Well, you can do that. I'm going to be down in America building something.
Bro, I'm starting with the first 13.
Objective.
Bring it, I'll
Camber,
fucking nuke
playing
you.
Minecraft.
Camber, I'm afraid that even if you
want that
wanted to
tea-back,
do that,
motherfucker?
even if you wanted to do that, when
13
your
nukes,
third
leave town,
most
motherfucker.
popular male name is Mohammed, I don't think you have enough Brits to do that anymore.
Oh, yeah, that's
Oh,
right.
no,
that's
we'll be-
right. You know what?
I'll be cleaning internally first.
And then he gets beheaded for insulting Islam. The end.
There won't be in Islam by the time I'm done.
Just like the Crusaders said.
Deus Volt.
Deus Volt.
What's that? 1 out of 13?
That's fucking 40K. That was the Black Crusade. You motherfucker.
No, I'm talking about the Crusades, motherfucker. 1 out of
Yeah.
13, was it?
No, there was only ever 3 Crusades. There was 13 Black Crusades in 40K.
No. I'm thinking there's a lot more. Hold on, I'm looking this up.
No,
I'm
that's
pretty sure there were a lot more Crusades than that.
I remember there being like fucking 3 major ones.
I remember that because I know the first one there was 8.
Yeah, eight Crusades. A Crusade series of religious wars. Yeah.
First Crusade, that was the
date.
successful one. There was the People's one that was just a bunch of peasants. I know there was a Child's Crusade that I don't think is enough of a
Yeah, the
major thing to really-
Children's Crusade.
And I remember that a lot of the Crusades ended with I think it was Yugoslavia getting sacked, which is fucking hilarious. You didn't even make it to the Holy Land before you blew your load.
It all went downhill when Richard the Lionheart died.
Yeah, pretty much.
Brutality.
I agree with that.
Yeah, I would turn the entire Middle East to glass and just fucking stop Islam from like 1 billion people. That's fine. The communists kill that many in a week. They'll be fine.
Not
And then
even
I'm going
going to amuse that statement, but
Darkholder, just 100 gramillion.
Gremlin.
100 gorillion people died because Stalin ate all of their grain in front of them. Yes, I know.
Mao killed all of their sparrows.
Mao personally ate all the sparrows.
Yeah,
I'll have
he
you know.
went there and he was just murdering sparrows with hammers in front of the children. Like, yeah, this is what's gonna happen to you too. Huh?
I mean, I can
Children,
see
let me
them.
give you a
I can
demonstration.
genuinely see them fucking doing that. Going down to the Chinese rice field and grabbing all the sparrows and beating them to death with hammers as a
My
demonstration.
son just came into my room and it scared the fuck out of me. Hold on. We're talking about space now?
We're talking about the complete and total annihilation of Turkey.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so I would say maybe like first nuke the borders so there's a radiation zone so they can't get out. And then maybe just like sweeping artillery barrage from one end to the other.
You're American. You just wait till Thanksgiving, don't you?
Oh, you mean the country Turkey? Okay, yeah, right. I don't know, fucking nuke it.
I mean, that's definitely a quick solution, but
Nah,
at the
You know
same
what,
time,
while we're at it, let's take care of Hungary too. If we're getting Turkey, we're not hungry anymore. Fuck it.
yeah, fuck Hungary. Yeah, I agree with that. That country should be destroyed.
Hungary.
Is there a Balkan country that you like, actually? Except Romania.
Serbia and Greece.
Serbia's pretty cool.
Yeah,
Serbia
I
is
like both
fine.
Greece
I
and
have to agree.
Serbia.
But that's just because I love their fucking Serbian pop music. It's ridiculous.
The Poles also have some good music.
Honestly, you just give it time. The way that Erdogan's attacking their economy, they'll fucking Turkey will destroy themselves sooner or later.
Hey, how much is the dollar for? How many liras do I need for $1?
10,000.
Your entire life savings times 2.
Right now,
It's
like
25
20.
Turkish lira. 25.
Probably around like
Well, that's a lot
50
better than I was thinking it was going to be.
by the end of the
That's
day.
still not great though. Like 25 lira just to get $1.
Well, think of the yuan. I think it's
The
6
Chinese
RMB for
actually.
$1.
Would it be
but
yuan or
no, they
renminbi?
actually purposefully devalue their currency, the Chinese.
Oh, I'm well
Yeah,
aware.
they-
It's so they could make their products cheaper and undercut the world market.
They also use a business one called the renminbi.
Yes.
But the Turks are actually not doing it on purpose.
Oh,
Yeah, they're
you
just
should
retarded.
check out what is it? It's right off the coast of India, Sri Lanka. they're
They've
a failed state.
overthrown their government over it. They've
Yeah.
absolutely shit the bed.
Yeah,
that
anyway,
was in-
they
that was
fully
in the news and
defaulted,
everything.
I believe, though.
Yeah, the Sri Lankan, they've got they can't even afford to keep the electricity running in their country for more than massive fuel shortage to the point where people are queuing up just to try and get a cup of fuel. They invaded the ruling family's palace, and they were in his swimming pool and shit like that. They basically the ruling families had to flee.
Based.
Also, speaking of economic collapse, did you know that 80% of all of U.S. money, from the
second.
start, has been printed in the last 2 years? Or I guess 3 now?
I mean, there is a reason that the whole issue with the debt ceiling was rather
Don't get me
big.
fucking started on that. That is a fucking horse and pony show.
Oh
All the
yeah,
parties-
it is so hilarious, as it always goes the same way. The
Yep.
media touts the complete collapse. They have those countdowns, and
Yep.
then at the last moment, bipartisan solutions comes and they save the day.
Yep, and then both parties fundraise on how terrible the other side is, and the cycle repeats every 2 years. And then every 4 they decide to change out the colors on the boot that's on your neck. So that's nice.
The two-party system and its consequences has been a disaster.
Oh, indeed.
What
If I
America
had it
in
my
the
way,
world.
I would fracture it all. 1,000 parties is better than 2.
I would only have one party, and even that is too generous.
If I had it my way. No parties. Not allowed.
I just want a good British nationalist alternative, for God's sake. Our Conservative Party hasn't conserved anything in fucking decades.
If it
Didn't
was
you have
respected,
something
the
called
media
the
would
British
absolutely kill
National
you.
Party at one point in the past?
Yeah, but they were weird. They were the fucking we don't care. It's one thing to want to get I'm for respecting people who are 4 generations deep in immigration by this point, are born here. They don't have a passport for their homeland, and they have a British passport. The BNP were if you're anywhere past on this colour chart, you need to leave. And it was fucking not even if you've been here 4 generations, you've got a British passport, you don't have a passport for whatever country your grandparents came from or whatever, and you're basically British. But the BNP was nope, you're not. They were white supremacist, which I'm not a white supremacist at all.
I also thought that
that's
was kind of a funny
stupid.
argument for immigration, how it's always, you need to let everyone in because you were an immigrant once. And, I got to tell you, like you're saying, 4 generations, that makes you naturalized.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
especially
if you
my
assimilate the culture,
God.
then
My secret shame is that one half of my family actually does originate from France.
Oh.
So how do you
Yeah,
handle
I
being
know, right?
fucking disgusting?
My father's side, after some fucking descendant of my father's side served in the Napoleonic Guard, and after the war, when they were dissolved, they were all sent over to Alderney, which is on the Channel Islands. And eventually, my grandfather, my great grandfather came over to Dorset on the south coast of England. And so at this point, I'm basically 4 generations into. In fact, I'm English. And then the other half of my family comes from near the up in a place called Tyneside in Newcastle. So I have
on my father's side, we're fourth generation living in this country. And that's the whole thing. Is like, I don't agree with this idea that like, even if you're like fourth generation, if you don't have roots dating back to the Celts, you need to leave this country. That's incredibly idiotic.
Well, that's just
I
what we
understand
do with a
you.
country of maybe 1 million people at the end of it.
Yeah,
It's
some of
just
that
so-
too.
So
I understand your point, but like there is a slight difference in being 4 generations in, being somewhat of a similar makeup, etc., and being even 5 generations in, but the people themselves are still calling themselves Muhammad and acting in a Pakistani fashion, etc., and maybe segregating themselves from the community.
Yeah,
Even if
the
they are-
modern problem that we have is that we've had descendants since about at least the 1980s who are, with they're 2-3 generations in now, and they've never assimilated. They keep to themselves. We have entire areas of certain UK cities now that are basically like little insert place in the Middle East or Southeast Asia. They don't assimilate. They basically still continue like they act as if they've never lived in Britain.
I mean, that's
So
And
I
they
think
just
you might
turn-
have the
that's
Swedish problem, where in about the 90s they brought in a bunch of Somali refugees, and they patted themselves on the back, said they were such great people, and then the sport ended then and there. So these people naturally graduated to group with people that are like themselves, and of course they're in a country that, honestly, I mean, if Britain's anything like Sweden, super racist,
We're not
they're going to stay in their
that.
communities.
We're
Well, that's what I'm
not
saying.
that.
Not now, but I mean in the 80s when things were much different and these people.
Oh yeah,
first
we
came
were
over.
very racist during the 80s.
I'm
Thanks, Thatcher.
thinking that's probably what happened. Is they were shunned into their own communities. They said, "Well, fuck it. I don't want to do anything with these people. I'm just stuck here." So they never integrate.
30 years now. You'd think by now they'd suddenly the wheel of progressivism has basically said, "Oh, we're diverse, we're inclusive, we love you for who you are."
Oh
And by
god,
this
that
point, they're
is.
just like, no,
I don't
because
think that's
No,
fucking
homie, we
hilarious.
cannot.
all right. Now I think I fixed it.
There you go.
okay,
Yeah.
we can hear you now.
Okay, great.
But yeah, we're bringing people from countries that. I'll give you an example. Yeah, it's June. Yeah, it's everybody's. Well, certainly people like me, it's everybody's least favorite month. It's June.
No, it's
where
dinosaur
the
month,
fucking-
man. It's fucking awesome.
It's fucking big gay month.
Ugh.
But
No. They've declared it's dinosaur month. We're not doing big gay anymore. It's out of fashion.
oh
remember?
god, you've seen the
Dinosaur
Stoles one at
What?
Has anybody seen that? The Stoles Monat thing.
I would assume no, because I have no idea what that is.
Stoles Monat is basically German for Pride Month. It started by members of the AFD.
Ah,
The
yes, I did
German-
post about that on the.
I downloaded some of their flag stuff. I basically now use it for several accounts. Stoles Monat was started in protest about the fact that every fucking year across Western Europe and across America, for like 1 month, everybody's national flag gets replaced by some ideological monstrosity. And so what they did is they changed. They started responding to major companies who changed their logo to the Pride logo, and they started responding with that company with a German flag in the background. Then it's now spread to other countries. It's spread to like most of German culture now. There's like, and now it's gotten to the point like it was a huge thing for a while, and then they shut down the Stolzmann website because they got doxxed.
Wow.
Yeah, that's usually
Yeah,
how it goes.
People
You're
got
too
so
proud.
pissy that they doxed the Stolzmann website, but I still managed to get the fucking flag changer thing. But
Nice.
I mean,
Well, see,
Pride Month this month has been an absolute disaster for the gay community.
I think that it's kind of a case of there was a bit of a fad that started around 2012 of, let's all be hyper progressive, super inclusive, gay rights, everybody, hooray. And I think the fad's finally coming to an end, which, I mean, thank Christ.
It's
Because
finally, it was about time. Like, this entire
I mean-
issue with. tolerance. Tolerance is exactly the opposite of integration. You tolerate someone, you suffer their existence. That's not concluding or anything.
The problem with Pride Month is that it's moved past just simply letting people live their lives.
It has.
It's now. There's a guy I watch on YouTube who basically said it that the modern day Pride movement proved that the modern day Pride movement is effectively homophobic, because back in the early 2000s, Pride used to be about showing that you can live normally, that you can still be a part of society, that you're not a roving degenerate and a complete pervert. Flash forward 20 years, no. Pride Month
is
all
literally about how much of a degenerate you can be.
Yeah, it's literally about how much of a pervert you are.
Do you guys ever remember that meme about when they were trying to push for gay marriage, and it was like, what's going to happen if gay marriage is legalized, and they got the gays will get married, the terrorists will win.
Come through.
Yeah,
I think that's fucking hilarious.
Yeah.
They call it the slippery slope fallacy, but it's the slippery slope truth, apparently.
That's
it's
just
not
it.
a slope.
It's not a fallacy
slope,
anymore.
It's a cliff face. It's literally a fucking cliff face.
Well, that's just it. I really was hoping they'd stop before they're advocating for pedophilia, but here we are. I guess grown adults deciding that they're the opposite gender was fine.
To be fair, I have not seen anyone in the LGBT community argue for pedophilia. Like, most of them are trying to chase out pedos.
Well, it's
the
ones
more
that
the
don't
people
that
are
are advocating
pedos.
for the drag shows.
The problem is if you want kids to see people in drag, go to a fucking pantomime. Yeah, because it's played for a joke and it's perfectly fine.
Yeah, it's
having
not this
somebody
sexually charged performance that they're trying to
having some sexually charged performance come and reach your kids is not pleasant.
Well, that's it. And what bugs me the most is they try to argue that it's educational. Educational to what? That you're showing them kink and that they should try it? Because pretty sure that's grooming.
It's about what it's always been about. It's the ideological background of having kids of the future.
Yep.
All come out and say that they're fucking gay or non-binary or they're fucking gender fluid or whatever the fuck.
They had to, otherwise they would fucking die out.
Exactly. They abort their kids. They sterilize themselves. They don't have kids. They recruit.
Half the time they don't even have kids because obviously they're not in.
Well, they're not in good enough shape to, or they are just not mentally developed enough to really.
And they're not really interested in the opposite sex, so
Well, I think there's that, and there's also the fact that a lot of them are still just children at heart. They don't want to stop, drinking their bagged wine, taking their Xanax, smoking their pot, and, take some fucking responsibility. Which is also a major fucking issue with a lot of our cultures now. There's no future because nobody wants to make a future.
That's been a problem for years now. We've developed the fucking society that doesn't want to look to the future because they basically convince themselves that everything is doom and gloom.
Exactly. I mean, with the whole climate change stuff, I can't tell you how many times I've seen, we have 5 years left, we have 10 years left, it's all ending on this date, it's all ending on that date.
Tomorrow it's over, we all die.
Exactly. It's just fear-mongering. It's fear-mongering so they can... Do it. Dump all the fucking acid in the ocean now.
Scientists found giant meteor heading towards Earth. Political parties blame the opposition. This is basically...
if that actually happened... I bet you every media fucking company around would have a fucking countdown down to the very end. There would be round-the-clock coverage of it. I mean, a meteor would probably be the best thing for them.
Isn't there an entire movie on Netflix called Don't Look Up?
Yeah,
and that's exactly what it's about.
Absolutely fucking ham-fisted. I mean, from what I remember, it basically boils down to both parties bad, but we're going to do nothing anyways about it.
Yeah.
Which also is what bugs the fuck out of me with America, is a lot of people can very clearly see we're being fucked over by both parties, and all they do is just switch what party they vote for.
You just need to abolish the two-party system. There is no other way around it.
You just need a one-party system or just one ruler, as ideally.
No.
Gonna have to say, gotta miss me with that. I don't really... No kings or masters here, man.
I'd much rather have anarchy
Cabin in the woods.
1984 style dictatorship.
One king, one nation, one god.
Yeah, I would genuinely at this point I would support returning power to the British monarchy.
What? So Prince Philip can buy more boys?
He's dead. You're thinking of Andrew.
Fine. So Prince Andrew can buy more boys.
It's your fucking problem now. We'll just ship him off to America and make him face charges over there.
Personally, I think he should. You know what? Apparently, he's a massive fucking grifter. I mean, duh. But the fact that he left your royal family and then immediately wanted to come right back, I found really fucking hilarious.
You're thinking of Harry. Prince Andrew is the one who's potentially a fucking nonce.
Honestly, I don't fucking know.
Harry is the cock. Andrew is the nonce.
Wasn't Epstein also having doing visits to the Queen's vacation home? Epstein has pictures in Queen Elizabeth's vacation home.
Basically, the problem that we had is that for some fucking
all your
reason,
monarchies are nonces.
Prince, fuck off.
It's true.
Prince Andrew is the Queen's favorite son. We don't know why. It's really fucking stupid.
And he's allowed to fuck two
basically, what's
children a
happened
year.
for the last 2 years, Prince Andrew has been locked in Balmoral Castle in Scotland. He's not allowed outside because if they get him outside, they'll end up grabbing him and extraditing him to America. But Charles is apparently not having any of that shit, and they've already stripped him of his royal titles and his military honors. And there's a rumor that they're going to basically reprimand him in a British prison until he agrees to go to America.
Based.
They shouldn't. No matter what happens, they
is-
shouldn't extradite a British citizen to an American court. Never.
Yeah, but we need him out of the way to improve public relations. So fuck.
You know, personally, yeah, I get what you're saying, Darkholder. I think they should probably get like 2 or 3 M80s and just pop them in his mouth and light them.
I'll tell you what
Let
we
that
should
happen.
do. What we should do is we should offer to trade Prince Andrew for Ansekulis.
Who?
Whomst?
The American diplomat who killed a young man on a road, driving on the
Fair
wrong
trade.
side of the road and ran over a British cyclist.
Fair trade. You can't be doing that.
And then-
He
and
should have
then
been
basically-
fucking arrested.
Basically claimed what do they call it? Diplomatic immunity and escaped the
Diplomatic
state.
immunity, which is such a stupid concept. They can do whatever they
Very stupid
fucking want.
concept. I mean, how the hell are you supposed to like curry favor if you think you can do whatever the fuck you want?
Yep, I'll tell you what. We'll hand over Prince Andrew if you give us Ansekulis so we can throw our ass in British prison for 30 years.
Deal. I'll just go and call Biden real quick here.
Cool.
But I mean, seriously, they all.
Hey,
protect
imagine
each
how
other,
Joe
so there's
Biden
no
must
way that-
feel. Imagine how Joe Biden must feel every time fucking he goes on Twitter and somebody's posting his son's dick pics.
He doesn't go on Twitter. I'm more than certain they just keep him in a box out in Delaware, and maybe we'll.
I am certain he's not aware where he is and what he does most of
Exactly.
the time.
I think at this point, they wake him up from his 20-hour nap maybe once to go and read something or sign something, and that's it. I mean, just
And there needs to be an upper limit on how old you can be to be president.
there does. It needs to
Yeah.
be about 70, and I mean, even then, that's pushing it.
I
It also
mean,
needs to be hard term limits.
you know
on
that
everything.
Trump is in his 70s, right?
I am well aware, and I think he shouldn't run. He's too old.
Fair enough.
Yeah, he's
I
good
supported him
enough.
both times, and I still think he's too old. DeSantis, I like him, but he does not have the charisma he needs after what
I
Trump,
think the problem
Trump has been
problem
running.
with DeSantis to me is that he's like, it's okay that he's going to do something about the encroaching progressivism of America, but you can
No,
tell
no, no.
he's very much a cultural warrior.
No,
he
he's
needs
a
to really
deal-maker.
explain
That's
what-
the problem. He
He's
will
going
play
to
games with
cause
them, just
suffering
like Trump
for
did
the
his first
common
term,
folk.
and look what that got Trump.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the other thing too, is we're so divided at this point where I don't think any Republican could get in. Ramaswamy or whatever his name is could get in, and they'd still call him a white supremacist and all this, and do everything in their power to make sure that his presidency is an absolute shit show.
Not agreeing 100% with everything they do makes you a white supremacist. They turned on Armenian parents who are definitely not white.
Well, that's
I called them
my favorite thing about their stupid ideology is that they're supporting like gay Muslims and stuff, and every single Muslim everywhere is like, you're appealing to like 0.1% of our population. Miss us with that shit. We don't want this. And they
It's. Did you? I suppose you would have heard. I think it's Hamsek.
was that the one school where they banned LGBT shit and
LGTV.
what? Yeah, whatever. LGBTQ, whatever.
The
They
white
banned
people.
they banned the alphabet people or something, and no, they pushed through some like what
It
was
was an entire. It was a Muslim majority council in America, and they've banned the public display of LGBTQ pride flags.
I remember that. It's on public property only. So, I mean, you can still do it on private property, which I think that was probably the best way to handle that.
Yeah.
Because personally, when I see a pride flag next to an American flag in a Capitol building, that is just a disrespect to our country. I mean, you're flying an ideological flag right next to ours.
Come to Britain, it's literally lining the streets of London.
I have sent that video on the channel.
Have you all seen the fucking video of them taking down the Union Jack?
I have sent that video on the channel.
And I mean, personally, I think your country's fucked. I mean,
that fucking disgusted me.
I think your country's fucked. I don't think there's any coming back from, honestly, what my country did to yours.
We need a full-on fucking nationalist government in this country to come in and say, right, we're going to start sinking the boats in the channel by fucking gunfire. We're going to start... Does anybody here know what Section 28 is?
I'm an American, so...
Right,
no.
Section 28 in this country was a law that was passed in the 80s that effectively made it illegal to teach anything about gay sex or homosexuality to children under the age of 16.
Okay,
I think we need to bring that back.
What was it called? The Immorality Act?
Someone, 1 second. Let me...
That might be the American one in Florida, which I thought was absolutely hilarious because they're talking about how that's threatening gay people because you can't talk about gay sex to, I think it was second graders and below. So apparently that makes a gay genocide.
Yeah. Section 28 was a legislative designation for a series of laws across Britain that prohibited the promotion of homosexuality by local authorities. It effectively... the amendments say that the local authority shall not intentionally promote homosexuality or publish material with the intention of promoting homosexuality. Basically, you couldn't really talk about being gay in schools. That's it.
Personally speaking, I don't think you should be able to talk about sexuality in schools, period. Gay, straight,
Exactly.
or otherwise. This is a school. You're supposed to be learning things, not...
Exactly.
Am I the only one that disagrees?
I mean, to be fair,
that's something
I
you
think
should learn
sex ed
about.
to an extent is important.
Well, that's not what I'm talking about. They're talking about kink and shit. Like,
No, you can't do
that.
that.
That's not...
Yeah.
That's like it should really stick to the whole, PP goes into VV and baby come out. Make sure you don't, wrap your stump or you'll get dick fall off disease.
Even then, you should be careful what age you start that from.
Yeah, even then. I mean, I think 15, 16 is probably a good time to really introduce it because that's when hormones are running wild and probably when people are going to start experimenting.
That's a bit too late. I would argue like 13 to 14 probably.
13.
Well, yes, that's also something to remember because, I mean, women's periods can start at the age of 9, so that's
another
I
thing.
would say 14 because for us in Romania, that's when you go to high school and then where you are presented to like people out of your community a bit more widely,
I mean, to be fair, we learned the basics at 6th grade and that was pretty normal. Like, we had the understanding to grasp the basics.
Yeah, that's fair enough. I mean, by then you're also probably just a hormone-riddled little monster.
I think at 13, I'd say 13 minimum, but no younger than that. I mean, I learned sex ed at 11, and I was just grossed out by the whole thing.
So let's say if we're just gonna make a scale here, 13 to start, 14 to get into the basics, and maybe like 15 to say, hey, cover your thing, or you're gonna lose it.
I would say 11 to 12 to start.
That might be a little too early because, just like Run said, it just grossed him out.
I think the problem is it's the big thing that schools are having an issue with is is basically the easy access to pornography.
It would probably gross him out because Britain is probably one of the most sexually repressed countries ever.
Yeah. No sex, please, for British. Yeah, we've all had the fucking jokes. Believe me, we're not. We have some of the highest rates of teenage pregnancy in Europe.
I know.
We are not sex repressed. If anything, we've got a massive problem with teenagers that can't learn to fucking keep it out of each other.
By 6th grade, I feel like
every because you got the drinking age of like 14.
Knew the basics before even sex ed.
Right, Steve. I grew up in a relatively middle class neighborhood, and even then, we had a kid on our street who was when he was 15, he got his girlfriend pregnant because he because he thought that using a condom was lame. And fucking yeah, I know.
There are 20-year-olds who think that here.
This is genuinely a problem amongst teenagers in this country because they think that because what they get taught is that they watch it. They basically by the time they're 13, they've seen like shitloads of porn, and they think that fucking using a condom, because obviously one of the things is that not using condom makes sex less pleasurable. And they get this idea that, we want to get like the maximum amount of pleasure from sex, and they don't understand the consequences because they just assume, it won't happen to me. And so they have sex for the first time at like the age of 14 and 14, 15, and they get their fucking the girl they have sex with pregnant.
The openness about sex in society has led to this to an equal degree as anything else.
Well, that's the issue with pornography, is like what you're saying. It gives you a false idea of what sex is. Personally, I think it should be banned until you're 18, and that should be tied to your social security number.
It kind of is banned until you're 18, but the problem is that they need to. I know they've talked a lot about ID laws.
Well, that's just it. That age verification on all these sites, it is literally just a yes or no, and there is no actual proof. It is a rubber stamp at best.
Yeah, but having to add like your social security number to fucking porn site, which God knows where that data goes to. I'm not saying that Instagram and Facebook is like better, but you don't want the fucking porn site to have all your information.
The flip side of ID verification is not wanting to give any more fucking information.
Why?
Over.
Mainly because of blackmail reasons. Imagine you go into one of those websites and suddenly like your life is ruined because the info leak your social security, they know exactly what you were watching.
I think that would actually be probably a nice bit of deterrent then. Because I can't tell you, I mean, dating right now in America is a shit show, and I bet you there's more than a couple people who have just dropped out of it completely because they can just whack off.
I mean, they're just removing themselves from the gym pool. Good for them, they're removing themselves from the gym pool.
Hey man, all it takes is getting lucky once to get right back in there.
Fair. Anyways, so we've talked for about like an hour and 10 minutes, so I think it's right about time to wrap up.
Yeah.
Is there anything else anyone wants to say real quick before we wrap her?
I mean, we have the Zuckerberg and Elon Musk fight, but I guess we can talk about that tomorrow.
Honestly, who fucking cares?
Personally, I think that Zuckerberg's gonna fucking trounce Elon because Zuckerberg's been doing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu for like 6 years now.
I do believe he's better than him, but then again, it won't happen.
Zuckerberg's in really, really good shape. Musk needs to get fit.
Yes, well, there's also
Musk
the fact...
fucking fat.
Well, Musk is 6'1", and I think, if I remember right, Zuckerberg's like 5'8", so he does have a height advantage and weight advantage on him, but when it comes down to it...
He can uppercut Musk and he'll just...
Exactly.
Forget his fucking...
It just means he needs to reach up to hit him instead of going straight forward.
Yeah, he can duck really easily, too.
Oh, yeah, no, that too. I think Elon is going to get fucking trounced. He is going to be wandering around the ring while Zuckerberg beats the shit out of him. I mean, he's probably going to lose a lot of stock money because, you know, he's like the thought leader of Tesla, and, you know, head concussions and thought don't really mix.
Well, I guess good thing he's probably going to send his robotic clone to fight.
That's what I want to see. I want to see Zuckerberg morph into a lizard and fucking Elon Musk get like an Iron Man suit on or something. Just go fucking balls to the walls.
Just have an IRL anime fight.
It's gonna be absolutely fucking ridiculous, and it will be streamed on Twitter for a price.
You know what? They're both billionaires. How about they build some mechs? You know, Montana's mostly empty.
So cool.
They can build mechs and just to the death. Whoever wins gets the other man's company. Fuck it.
So basically, whoever wins is inheriting a failing company, then.
Yeah, basically, it's fucked if you do, fucked if you don't. But I think Tesla will probably last a little longer than Facebook. Albeit not by more than a year or two, but it'll last longer.
Wouldn't the more fair bet be Twitter versus Facebook?
Maybe, but then you might run into monopoly issues. Well, I guess there's LinkedIn and shit, so maybe not. I don't know. There's a lot of that shit up in the air right now about breaking up Facebook, breaking up Twitter, and all that.
They're all the fucking same, yeah, it's all the same shit. Especially if they all basically now just clones of each other because they can all do what everyone else does.
Well, exactly. And if they do break up, well, then it can be, I don't know, my chat, and my chat just isn't an exact clone of what it was before it was broken up. And oh, look at that, it's super popular now.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Anyways, been a great show. I just like to say, please like, favorite, and subscribe, and share if you really enjoyed our fucking antics here. Anyone want to say anything else?
If you made this far, congratulations. You're probably like the only person who has done that. And
I hope you have brain damage now.
They probably do if they made this far. And recommend any topic you want us to talk about.
And of course, there's always the official Discord, link below if you want to come and join and, meet us in person and see how terrible we are.
Donate to my Patreon.
And
What
check out my
Patreon?
OnlyFans.
Check out my fledgling YouTube channel.
Link in description of all of that.
Of course,
That's
if I remember
maybe.
to add all of that.
If we remember. Otherwise, you're fucked.
Yeah, that's about it. So, bye-bye.